like you were walking onto the tour. Your hat strategically matched your driver, Bren. Your shirt was Peter Miller. You made one swing with your iron, and we watched the ball dive left, and all of the guys cringed that they'd be your partner, they'd be your partner, and you're off playing. You probably think the pros look just like you. You're off playing. I'll bet you think push hooks are a good thing, don't you, don't you? Oh, you met me several years ago. I helped you get rid of that hook. Well, you said that you'd put in all the hard work and that you'd even read my book. But you gave away 8 shots today. Missed fairways by 40 yards. You had some dreams about making some birdies, but you're off playing. Do you know how far that you're under? You're off playing. I'll bet you wonder how you just shanked it, don't you, don't you? You're off playing. Did you know your path is way right? Wow, you're off playing. You had no choice, so you shut the face down, don't you, don't you? Well, I told you to go and stay at the range and practice your pivot drills. But you just aim right and swing more into out, 'cause that's what good players do. But then you just slide through all of the time and wonder why you push some of your shots way right off the planet, right where you aimed at. You're off playing. Come on, let's get this thing straightened out now. You're off playing. Just gotta learn to cover the ball now. Rotate, post up, post up. You're off playing. This song is definitely about you. You're
I hoped you enjoyed watching that music video as much as I enjoyed making it. Thanks to my husband, he was a great co-star. I just wanted to go through a few of the key points in the video in case there was any confusion, but hopefully you get the point that being off plane in this scenario is really being under the plane being too much into out, too flat for your own good, coming into impact, which causes an array of issues. So let's go through those and work through the drills together and hopefully provide clarification on the things that I highlighted in the video. So first things first, let's establish what swing plane even means. To me, a swing plane is the suggested angle that the club should be swung on. So here is an 8-iron. It has a certain lie angle with the way the club is designed. And as I stand to hold this club, I want to imagine the angle that this suggests through my body so that when I'm moving the club, I'm matching up close to that angle. If I'm holding this club and I'm swinging straight to vertical, that's not matching the way the club was designed. If I'm holding a driver, I definitely want to make sure that I'm swinging on plane because a driver is a long club and it's going to be a flatter lie angle. So if you have a steep swing with a long club, you're going to be in trouble. And if you have a flat swing with a short club, you're going to be in trouble. We want to try to swing as neutral as possible and close to the suggested swing plane so that we can have an easier time generating a pretty straight path and have an easier time having a nice square face so that we don't have to make up for that in the middle of the golf swing by having a swing that's off plane. In the music video, my husband Mike is hitting hooks, and the whole purpose of the video is to help give you some hook fixes, but also to explain how being under the plane is really the main cause of the hook. So you might have an upright backswing, you might have a flat backswing, but the reality is if you come into the golf ball from underneath a neutral plane, which would be very low, and from the inside too much, you're likely going to hit two kinds of ball flights, either a push to the right, and if you leave the face open from there, it's really going to be ugly. It's going to be a push slice or a push fade. More often than not, golfers that do this for a long period of time figure out that they have to close the face to have a chance to get their ball to come back towards the target. And so there you have the big hook miss, a really into out path with a very closing face. You lose a lot of trajectory, you get a lot of side spin, the ball doesn't want to hold the green, and if you're hitting a drive, it can get pretty nasty because you have a fairly low lofted face, and the minute you really close it like that, you can get some pretty yucky duck hooks and things like that. So I want you to understand that we want to try to get to a neutral plane in our golf swing, which would really create a pretty straight club path, if you want to think of it that way. Those two definitely relate. So swing direction and club path and swing plane are very much correlated when we are looking at golf swings. So if you're out there and you have a push or a push hook miss and you're wondering how under the plane you are, and of course as you're practicing, checking to see if you're improving, this is what you need to do. You need to take a golf swing and film yourself from down the line and set up the camera so that it's even with your hands both in height and in direction. So you don't want the camera out by the golf ball or back behind your feet. Directly straight back from your hands and about hand height. Then what you want to do is film yourself making a swing, okay? And you want to freeze frame the video right at impact. So it might look something like this. You're going to draw a line up the shaft using a simple graphics editor, which you can download for free online. I'll link a couple ideas down below in the description. And then you're going to rewind your video a couple of clicks backwards, and you're going to see where the club head is traveling from halfway down in your back downswing to impact, whether it's approaching the golf ball on that swing plane line, which is basically the shaft line at impact, or if you're arriving there from way underneath it or from on top. Once you know the answer to that, you have a better idea of how to help yourself fix those issues, or at least start doing some research with the right intention and the right information about what side of the plane you're really on. So if you're truly under the plane, then you have to understand that you're coming in really shallow to the golf ball, which means that the club head is traveling very low to the ground, close before impact. This can do two things. It can cause a fat miss, a thin miss, and in an effort to avoid both of those misses, what a lot of times golfers will do is they will really hold the handle out in front, and all this does is makes the club face even more de-lofted. So again, this is just now doubling down on the issue, which is you're under plane and you're making compensations to try to save that and make the best of it, and it's only making it worse. So the real root cause and the thing you need to focus on fixing is getting your swing more on plane. So how can you work on this? So in the music video, I suggest using a towel drill. You can place the towel down behind the golf ball about 2 club head widths. So there's 1, 2, and then you can go ahead and hit some shots trying to avoid hitting this towel. If you come in too much from under, too shallow, you're likely going to hit the towel on the way to the ball, and we don't want to do that. So to clear the towel, you'll have to arrive a little differently and keep that club head in the air a little bit longer, and you'll naturally find a way to come down a little straighter and rotate better with your body to clear the towel. So you can see I definitely hit down out in front of it. Now, typically, the body language will change automatically with a drill like that, but if you're still struggling, here's a couple other ideas just to review. So you saw me coaching Mike using a rod or a golf club up by the shoulder line and having him do some rehearsals where he was rotating his chest through. So if I turn to the side, what you're going to see is if I make the move incorrectly and I rock my shoulder through, if the right side of my body, both the leg, the knee, the hip, and the shoulder kind of collapse down, all that happens is my shoulder plane is rocking, my left shoulder is working up, and this is an issue because you'll see that my head and chest are moving backwards, and all this is going to do is drop that golf club more from behind me. So you can see the correlation between the lack of body rotation, the tendency to rock the shoulders and the spine and the hips this way, which causes the club to fall under the plane too much. So the fix is to work on rotation and earlier rotation. So as soon as you start your downswing, you're going to start feeling that right shoulder traveling more towards the ball and shoulders staying level. So this is called covering the golf ball. This is backing up out of it, even though my legs are kind of sliding through. I want to rotate and keep my chest feeling like it stays right on top of the ball. And really my head as well staying a little bit more centered, or almost as if I'm trying to get a little bit left ahead of the ball with my upper body so that my head and chest don't fall too much backwards. Again, the minute your head and chest fall backwards, you're likely going to swing more under the plane. So here's another idea that was not in the original video. This is the Tourstriker plane station. I'll put the link down below where you can find this. Also, you can use just an alignment rod in the ground if you're hitting off grass or practicing in the backyard. But if you're indoors or on a mat setting, something like this is really handy. So there's different holes in the board and you can put an alignment rod in it, set to, say this one is 45 degrees, it goes up to 65 degrees. So you can create different angles with the rod. And then from there, you want to set it up behind the ball and a little inside so that you have something that you're swinging down on top of. So this has plenty of clearance. If I want to get a little more aggressive, I can move it a little closer towards the target line. And the goal here is to just swing down on top of it. If I make that under move, I might nip it on the way down, which wouldn't be very good, but it's just going to give me awareness and a space to swing on top of so that it gives me some inspiration to start dropping those arms and turning the chest a little sooner so I don't rock under and get stuck. So here we go. We're going to swing back and then down on top of that swing rod. So no problem clearing it. And so that's a really good piece of feedback and a nice practice station that you can set up for yourself at home or at the driving range. In the video, I made reference to trying to post up being a solution for the hook fix as well. And I had my husband doing a drill with an alignment rod and a noodle set up to his left side. So if you're somebody that has a tendency to slide the lower body through, not only are you going to end up rocking those shoulders and not rotating, but it's going to be really hard to improve that rotation if the lower body doesn't change what it's doing. So if your lower body's failing you and you have a tendency to slide through impact and your knee and your hip get outside that ankle, you can set up an alignment rod just like that. I'm using the Tourstriker plane station again. And as I come down to impact, the goal would be to push up and back while staying in my posture before my knee would ever reach that boundary. So this can help you out trying to add rotation and clear the left side of your body so you don't get stuck. And again, if you slide, you're going to come more from under. If you post up, it's going to introduce some rotation, keeping the club more on plane. So you probably already know this, but when you're hitting an iron, you want to hit the ball and then the ground. So your divot pattern should be in front of the ball. If you're under the plane, you're probably going to bottom out behind the ball. The low point of your swing is going to be back here because that's where your body weight and your sternum is, especially your upper body. So if you're doing a better job of getting the divot pattern in front, likely your body's in a better position. So you can definitely put a little chalk line if you're on a mat, use some baby powder. I've done that in some other videos, which I can link as well here. You can put a little T, low T in front of the ground if you're out on the grass driving range. And that way you have some incentive to hit the ball and then kind of touch that touch point through impact and hopefully give yourself some incentive to get over there on your left side. If you find that you're still hitting behind the ball, again, revisit some of those other drills and hopefully those will help you get back on plane. Before I let you go, we have one more thing to talk about, and that is club face through impact. If you've been hooking the ball for a while, you've been rapidly closing the face and twisting your hands to save a shot that would otherwise go to the right. So you don't need to do that anymore. If you actually fix your swing and come down on plane, you don't need to twist that face closed. And if you do it, it's going to go really, really, really far left. So watch your ball flight. If that's happening for you, you have to quiet down the hands, meaning you don't want to manipulate through impact so much. You don't need to do it. Therefore, you can just kind of let those hands and arms go for a ride. You might need to think that you're trying to keep the face a little bit more square or open feeling. That would be a feeling. In reality, we just want to come back with a square face. Check your grip position and pressure. If you've been really closing the face a lot, you likely have a stronger grip position. You don't need that anymore if you're coming in with a straighter path and more on plane. So get a neutral grip, which is a little bit more midline with the way the hands are set on the club. 2 knuckles on the top hand, not 4. Check for those things and make sure that you are as square as you can be before you start. So check your grip, relax your arms and grip pressure a little bit, which will again soften and quiet down the hands through impact so that you're a little more passive and not over rotating, because again, you won't need to do that if you're actually on plane. So if this video helped you out, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. I'd really appreciate it. Leave your comments and questions below, and I can't wait for you guys to come back and visit with me on the next installment of my Edutainment series. Have a great day.